How's it going, guys? Today, on this manga first impression video, we're going to be taking a look at something that I just completely decided to pick up on random, so we'll see how it is. On today's menu, Beauty and the Feast. So I was in the bookstore, I think it was just 2 or 3 days ago, and I saw this sitting on the shelf. Never heard of it before, really didn't know anything about it, and I was like this close to just going, it was baseball was in the description, and I was like, man, it's not really I don't really care about baseball that much, and the concept seemed odd. I'm like, I don't know how that could be an interesting story, so I don't think I'm really gonna bother with it. But before I left, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I already had some other manga I was already buying. I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. The art looks really good, so let's see how it is. And I absolutely loved it. Like, it's been a while, because usually with like a brand new manga that you first open, like you don't know right away that okay, I'm gonna get a few pages in. Okay, who are the characters? What's the story really going to be about? How is this playing out? All that kind of thing. You gotta feel your way through it before you really start to, decide. All right, do I like this? Am I kind of meh on it? Is it just okay? Almost, I'm not joking. Within like 3 pages in, um, the main female character, I loved her. She is one of the favorite, and maybe that's just bias because this story plays a lot to the things I personally like about manga in particular. But I absolutely loved her. I couldn't just explain it more how much I was like I she's my favorite and I want her to be happy forever. Now I'm getting a little ahead of myself in this review, so let's just jump back and actually tell you what the story is actually about. So before, I'm just gonna do it right off the back of the book because I am famous for butchering names. So Shuko is our main female character, and she is a 28-year-old widow who unfortunately just lost her husband. And one of her favorite things you learn fairly quickly in the story was to cook. And obviously, one of the things that she found really special in her life was to be able to have meals and cook with her late husband. And the story pretty much hits the ground running without, much meandering around right away with bringing in our second main character, and that is Shohei. Shohei is a high school student who is what appears to be an up and coming like baseball. I don't know if you would call him star. I'm assuming that's what the story is getting to. It never really tells you, at least in the first volume, how good he is at baseball. But if I had to guess, he's going to be like a prodigy of some kind. But we haven't really gotten that far in the story. But pretty much, he kind of moves in next door, lives by himself, and one day, she goes to introduce herself, and he's got like all the standard ramen, convenience store food, and he just has this massive appetite and eats all the food she brings over for him, like when say like hello and everything. And so from there, the relationship is started. She starts inviting him over for food, and it is the most wholesome, the main female lead, Shuko. Uh, the art style unexpectedly just grabbed me like right away. Like it's so expressive. The way some manga artists can do it, where the facial expressions, like there's not much going on in the story here, but so much is conveyed through how the characters react to things, just expression wise and by what they do, that it just really pulled me in. Now, this manga isn't going to be for everybody. If you're all about that action or like massive ecchi romance or stuff like that, I mean, it's not here. This has so far just been a totally purely, now I'll get to this in a second, like just adorable story about two people just like bonding like over food, and her being like really excited and girlish about, oh, I want him to like this and like that. And now it's easy to forget that she isn't very old. She's only 28. The manga never specifies how old he is. I'm assuming he's 17, 18 would be the proper guess with stories like this. Now that kind of brings me to what I was just alluding to a little bit, is that I don't know where the story's gonna go with their relationship. The whole time I was reading it, I was going, this is very interesting, because a story like this can be made, can like made or break on, is this gonna go down a romantic route and be weird to some people, or is it gonna be more like they just have like a really awesome bond, mother like son kind of figure in the story. So I don't really know where it's gonna go. Like if I had to guess, like it like I would assume it's gonna maybe start leaning over into the romance side of things. Whether or not that actually establishes itself and goes anywhere, I'm really not sure. I would be fine with it because it seems pretty natural. Because I was sitting there like reading the story, going, okay, am I gonna be upset, or am I gonna like not even upset, but just kind of I wasn't hoping for this if this story goes more into the romance venue, because like would it seem weird? And the more I read it, I was like, man, it doesn't seem like it. It just seems really natural. So I don't know, like if that's something that would like turn you off from the story, that is one thing to keep in mind, that there is like that potential relationship thing going on there. But honestly, I thought it was a little bit of a breath of fresh air that for once the older figure in the story was the female character. Because usually it's always some like really older guy and some you know pubescent high school girl, and you're like, wait a minute. But actually no, it's like the age gap wouldn't be that big, and so it just seems pretty natural, honestly. You do get some other characters introduced later on, which seems pretty typical, a pretty typical route that the story would take, when you find out pretty near the end of the volume that one of Shohei's female, like, old longtime friends has a crush on him and wants to be his girlfriend, but he said no. Shocking twist. We're all so surprised. Now that seems really standard, was pretty generic. So that's maybe, I don't even know if I'd say a tick against it, but that was like, oh, okay. I thought maybe the story would do something a little different. But it stuck with that pretty standard, high school. He's got a female romance more his age, so now we find out what's going to happen there. But that's basically the general overview of the story. There were some really nice emotional beats in the story as well. Not like a whole lot, nothing too crazy, but just the little things. When you're looking at shots of like Shuko looking at her late husband's picture or honoring him in the morning, or there's a scene where she goes and visits his grave. Like those are some really like powerful emotional beats in ways that like this other person coming into her life and wanting to eat her food has really helped her. Like she seemed like she was, in a pretty dark place before he kind of showed up. The story doesn't show you much of that yet, but maybe we'll get some more of that as it goes on. And you also get some of it from Shohei's side, where you see that he's a high schooler who lives by himself, and it looks like his parents don't really pay him much attention. He doesn't get those homemade meals to sit down with his family you'd hope someone his age would, or maybe he would have liked to when he was younger. So they really meet together in that way and have some interactions over like dinner and just cooking. That, I don't know, the kind of story I love, slice of life stories like this, and I also love romance stories. So this brings it together in a way that is just perfect for me. And so the second I read the first volume, I was just like, okay, I just want to read more. I knew that I was going to be going back and like reading more of these volumes to see where it goes, because there's just a lot of potential to do more. You're going to have the romance rivals element. You're going to have if it goes down that romance road, is this appropriate? You're going to have the baseball road, which it hasn't explored too much, but I'm sure it'll probably get into some more. So there's a whole lot here that I'm honestly really excited to read. And to get into more. Now, one other thing I will also quickly say is that this is a Square Enix manga volume, and I think I have very few, if any, Square Enix manga. I haven't paid as much attention to the manga world as I have in a while, so Square Enix is a new player. For the most part, I think the only Square Enix like manga I have is the hardcover edition I have for their Soul Eater premium releases or collector's edition releases. Who knows what they're calling them? But this is like really high quality. The price is pretty standard, about the same. It's pretty much the same size as like the larger Kodansha Comics volumes, and the same exact price, I believe, as well. So I don't know. I love the art style in this. The facial expressions, especially of Shuko, is just spot. I love her. She's. I cannot explain to you or express like enough how much within like 3 or 4 pages I was like, I love her. She's great. I want more of her in my life. So yeah, all around really good. This manga volume just came out. So if you like that kind of more slice of life, some romance stuff thrown in there, but with a little different twist. You got the older female protagonist, although she's not that old. Some high school sports in there. So if that's your kind of thing, I think you'd like this volume. If it's not your kind of thing, then, well, obviously it's not your kind of volume. But if you want to support it, go ahead and find it. Square Enix, if you want to support their manga releases, also a cool thing to do, because, you know, it's always nice to give some bumps to those ventures a manga company first takes. You want to make sure that they're rewarded for, you know, licensing stuff like that. So anyway, guys, I do hope leave a like and a subscribe and a comment. Tell me what you thought about the volume if you read it yourself or if you want to go pick it up. But anyway, guys, I'll see you back in the prowl next time.